stocks our strategists feel are poised to deliver positive returns are featured now in their top stock picks of the week.
Welcome to this week's Top Stock Picks. I'm Tracey Ryniec, and I'm joined at the chairs by Kevin Cook. And we have a retailer and a tech firm that is in one of the hottest areas, but it's not cloud or software. Kevin, we're going to start with yours. I don't even want to say the name. I'm like pausing.
Say Alteryx.
Alteryx.
Yeah, the word
AYX
Alter.
is the ticker. And they are in data mining, you said, and modeling. So what does that mean?
So, of course, they use the cloud, and it is a software platform.
Okay.
But it's just a really exciting company. I own it. It's making new highs this morning because they had their big investor conference last week, or their big user conference. And you know about the big deal we had last week. Salesforce CRM buys Tableau data for $15.3 billion, one of the biggest software deals we've seen in a while.
Okay. And they're a competitor.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Tableau is data visualization. If you've got some structured data in a spreadsheet, you know, companies have lots of data. Let's make it visual. Make a picture out of it so people can understand it and see patterns and 3 dimensions and all that kind of stuff. You can do that with structured data, but Alteryx, some people say Alteryx, but it's like, you think the word alter. They can take unstructured data, so raw, disorganized data from lots of different sources, and they can bring it together. And they say they can clean it, prep it, and then let people model it, whether they're a data scientist or not, all on one platform.
Wow.
And this is so important. I've done a lot on this lately. I did a 20-minute video last week that you should look up. Because I say that there's a gold rush going on inside of companies to mine their own data. And if they don't, they're going to get their lunch eaten by a younger competitor. You know, one of the buzzwords we hear all the time now, or buzz phrases, is digital transformation. Well, what does that mean? You know, is it just digitizing your data and then send it to the cloud and you're done? No, because companies are just flooded in data. They have to constantly organize it, mine it, and model it to make it useful. And if they don't, they're not going to be as competitive. So Alteryx is, again, the single platform, can take all this data. And here, let me show you a couple slides. This is from they had a big conference last week. They call it Inspire. And so there's users there. The analysts were there. Got to hear sort of a conference call with analysts talking about the business.
Okay.
But this is their model. So this platform, which both the data scientist and what they call the citizen data scientist, the average knowledge worker, can use at the same time. So accessing data anywhere, you can prep and blend it. That's the terminology they use. And then create predictive analytics, which is what everybody wants to do, right?
Right.
And you have to decide, what data do I even want to pay attention to, and then how do I structure it? So citizen data scientist, this is actually a term that comes from Gartner, where they talk about the person who's not a statistician, but yes, has to deal with data all day long and wants to be able to analyze it, whether they're in retail. Royal Dutch Shell is a customer, Ford's a customer, Daimler Chrysler is a customer, and you can build models without knowing any coding. So and they have
for lots of us.
Exactly. If I was just going to talk about why, the stock is breaking out. Nobody's ever heard of it, right?
Right.
It's richly valued. Right now it's trading 15 times sales.
I did look at it, 240 PE.
Yeah, and it just became profitable.
I thought maybe this will be a value.
It just soared into profitability.
Okay.
Right? This year's revenues are growing at like 75%.
Wow.
Next year it slows down to, say, 35%. But they're in a space that could conceivably be a $25 billion market. And their sales are only going to be $400 million by the end of this year.
Are they out in Silicon Valley?
Yes.
Do you know? They are. Okay.
Yeah, and they actually have quite a pedigree, because the 3 founders started a company together in 1997.
Okay.
And then they transformed it into Alteryx just in 2010, went public in, I want to say 2016, not exactly positive. But they're just doing some really exciting things. And the growth, I think, justifies the valuation. So even though it's just growing at 35% on sales, they're growing into this tremendous market where I think a lot of companies need what they're doing. They want hey, that platform will basically do everything for us. and let our people use it to mine our data. So.
Is it a small cap with those revenues right now?
No, $6 billion.
Oh, $6
yeah,
billion.
so that's why I say 15 times sales,
Yeah,
roughly.
okay.
So big upgrades this week and even this morning. I think KeyBank upped their price target to 123, and these analysts are coming off of the conference from last week, having spoken to customers. Let's look at some of the customers here. I've mentioned a few of them, but here's some of the quotes. In the upper right, somebody from Harley-Davidson says, "When I use Alteryx, I feel like a caveman who's been given a flamethrower."
Nice.
In the middle there, somebody from AAA. "With Alteryx, I can get right to modeling without 2,000 lines of code."
Yeah, that's
Key.
a big deal.
And then somebody from T-Mobile who won, they had this contest on stage at the Inspire thing called the Grand Prix, where they take somebody from a company who wants to volunteer. How fast can they do a modeling process? So they put these people up on stage who love the platform, and then have them compete to model some data for their business.
Okay.
And Nicole Johnson, who won last year, says, "With Alteryx, this doesn't even feel like work. This is just plain fun." They actually have sort of a cult following, and that's so. So analysts are skeptical about the valuation. They're going around talking to these customers who are just insane about it.
Yeah.
And there was one more point I wanted to make, which has slipped my mind, but I mean it's because of the data revolution, the flood of data, and there's chaos with it. I think that companies, once they understand what this platform can do for them, they're going to be grabbing it faster and faster. This is what I want to talk about. Analysts are I don't want to say skeptical, but they're not as enthusiastic. Some of them, like Wedbush did a piece where they're at neutral, $95 price target.
Skepticism could be good, though.
It can. Yeah. And they look at it like, well, Tableau could reach 600 million workers who need to work with data, right? Whereas Alteryx might only be speaking to, say, 30 million people, a couple million data scientists, and then the other people who deal with data all day long. So that puts Alteryx sort of in the middle of the stack.
Okay.
But they're agnostic. They'll use anybody's data, and they'll deliver it anywhere. So they're sort of the what comes before Tableau in terms of data visualization.
Now, if Tableau just got bought out, isn't there talk about them too? They're even smaller.
Sure.
Okay.
And I wouldn't be surprised if I said the other day, I said Microsoft could probably build this themselves, but when they see how good this platform is and what a fanatical cult following it has, they might just say, we'll just buy it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, that's something to watch. Now, my stock isn't nearly as exciting as yours sounds like, but it's a retailer. But some areas of retail aren't doing too badly right now, and I chose Oxford Industries, which most people probably have like, what? What is that?
I don't even know what they make.
Yeah, they are Tommy Bahama, Lilly Pulitzer, and Southern Tide, which you might not have heard of unless you're in the South. They're all clothing apparel companies. Okay. That is the area that's struggling right now.
Southern Tide?
Yes, to some extent, yeah. So you'd think like, oh, this is not where I want to be with the tariffs and all of that. They are mitigating the tariffs, but Lilly Pulitzer is really their like preeminent brand now, and they're still seeing positive comps. They saw positive comps across all three brands in a very tough quarter, as all the other retailers are like, oh, the weather, the this, the that. And they had a real solid quarter, and estimates are looking good throughout the rest of the year. So I like this one because it's one of the ones that is actually following through. It's not one of the retailers that's, oh, we're having troubles, but we're going to fix it in a couple quarters from now.
Do they have stores?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, stores and online. Online is a little bit bigger, and they sell some wholesale into the department stores too. Like you occasionally see Tommy Bahama and Lilly Pulitzer into department stores. But Lilly also did a very fun promotion with Target a little bit ago that sold out like immediately. That was, their brand in the Target stores. So they building that brand. They're opening up more Lilly Pulitzer stores. There's not that many of them. Most of the sales are done online with Lilly, but they're not having to do the really big promotions like a lot of the retailers we're seeing right now. So it is really about the brand.
Is the Lilly Pulitzer, is that a women's line?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So right now the brand is strong. And as you can see, estimates started off kind of the year you see for this year at 471 here 90 days ago. They did come down because tariffs and, kind of a a poor first quarter in the industry overall. But then this quarter wasn't as bad. So they've moderated here. They're still expected to see earnings growth this year of almost 6%, which a lot of the retailers aren't doing. And then you're getting a nice little bump into next year when these brands they think are really going to start to pick up steam. And you can see they had a little bit of tough year. 2017 was tough for everybody, but they've been slowly growing, like I said, the prominence of these brands, and it's showing up in their earnings. Stock is all over the place because this is one of the ones that the name doesn't really tell you what it is.
Right.
And people don't know, if they don't shop at these brands, how strong that they're doing, and they don't tend to announce anything in between the conference calls for this type of company. So you're just kind of out there wondering, how is retail? Some of the others aren't doing so well. I'm going to get out of this,
right.
or so that I think creates a lot of volatility in the stock. You can really see it got hammered there at the end of 2018.
Now you mentioned tariffs. I assume that's because so much of the clothing is manufactured in China, right?
Yes, clothing, accessories, even some shoes, things like that are all over there. But they've been doing what everybody else has been doing, either raising prices and or trying to move production anywhere they can, or going to their manufacturers and asking for concessions. So they're not immune to it, but they have built in tariffs into their guidance. So what we see right now is with the tariffs built into there. So yeah, I know a lot of people are on StockTwits going, oh, I want that JCPenney or Francesco Holdings, all these stocks that are trading under $1 on the retail side. And then they go curse on there because management is bad, or the stock is awful, or this or that. Well, people need to be looking for the retailers that are producing the good numbers, not the ones that are necessarily in the turnaround story.
And then just go ahead and price in the tariffs into their consensus.
Yeah.
Into their guidance, rather.
Yeah. So some of these do exist out there. You just kind of dig around in retail. They're not all under $1, but try to get it on a sell-off, obviously. But yeah, I kind of like the retail sector here now that these tariffs are being priced in, because it is hated, and you can find some deals. It's trading
rearview mirror. Yeah.
Right. It's trading at about 16.5 times. So that's like not super expensive for a company that's doing what it's doing. But again, if you can get it on a pullback, even better. So this is an interesting combo. We have one of the hotter sectors and one that's not, but both are driving interesting earnings this year.
Boring in value,
right.
Exciting and pricey.
Right. So every week we bring you 2 top stock picks. You don't want to miss it. Be sure to go to Zacks.com and check out all our videos. You can find them on Zacks.com/YouTube. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single one. And we'll be back again next week with some more top stock picks.